recording us, and it's an opportunity for public comments.
And I do in fact have a public comment. I have-
Quelle surprise!
Good morning again.
Good morning.
Thank you for last night. It was a long time. I have a statement that I wish to read into the record, and Dana, for your convenience, I created a copy of it.
Perfect.
So you don't have to try to transcribe it.
Thank you.
So I wish to put the following on the record. Last night, February 8th, 2023, the Select Board decided not to recommend the petition article regarding the revaluation. This was based in part on an incorrect statement of the expense of a statistical revaluation. This information was subsequently passed on to the Budget Committee, which also voted not to recommend the article. Had there been an opportunity for public comment, this could have been addressed prior to the Select Board vote.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Dana, you can see that that gets attached to our minutes.
Can I respond briefly to that?
Yes, you may, David.
There was public comment prior to the budget committee meeting, and that point was made exceedingly clear. And I'd be happy to vote again, because from my point of view, at least my view on that vote didn't turn on the $44,000 delta between the two different cost estimates that we got.
I'd be happy to go as well. Mine had nothing to do with
Mhm.
Okay, so do you wanna just take a vote right now?
Sure, I'll move that I'll move to confirm the vote that we had in light of the corrected cost information brought to light by Mr. Brown.
Okay,
I'll second it.
and you'll second it. Any further comments, David or Ben? No? Okay, all those in favor of confirming our vote of last night to not recommend the petition article, say aye.
Aye.
David, aye.
And Judy, aye. And I would also like to add that money is secondary in my mind as well. I don't believe that article serves the town in its best interests.
Mhm.
But I do believe the board needs to keep an eye on where we go this coming year, or whether or not we move to do another full reassessment.
Okay.
We have the opportunity to monitor the house sales, which we do, Medina does.
Mhm.
So we can see the trends coming,
Mhm.
and we can act accordingly if the trends start to change. But to date, my understanding is they haven't changed. Houses are still selling for
Mhm.
Pardon me.
the bubble prices.
Right, and I guess, is there any, I mean, I can't speak for the other members of the Budget Committee last night, but having received that recommendation with the $99,000, is there anything to be done to have them reconsider that vote?
I don't believe so, because I don't believe they voted for it as a difference between
Mhm.
$55,000 and
It was
$99,000.
clear in their
That was made
discussions,
before
they
they voted.
understood that.
Right,
Yes, that was pretty
Okay,
clearly
good.
indicated,
before they voted.
before they voted,
Right.
and during the discussion several times,
Good.
so I don't believe there is. You will have full opportunity at town meeting.
Absolutely, thank you very
And I
much.
would suggest maybe you'll wanna have some of those quotes written by whoever the company is.
Sure.
And what it is they're gonna do.
Yep.
Because there's a big difference between looking at a bunch of numbers and plugging it into a different formula than there is a
Mhm.
reassessment,
Yes,
revaluation.
I'm quite, as I
I'm
learn
sure you
more,
know.
I'm quite aware of all this. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you
You
for
know,
caring.
John Bigelow kept saying, he was confused why they couldn't recreate,
Mhm.
why you guys couldn't recreate the results.
Mhm.
Well, the fact that a lot of this is art and how the assessors do their job, it's not quite science.
I'm gonna say yes, but when the assessor writes down, this is the sales price and this is the value of, the appraised value that comes out of the calculator, though, that goes back to the science, and those numbers are the ones that go into the ratio. So,
But it's.
we've
it's all-
litigated
it's-
this.
It's all a magical.
yes, we've discussed this. I am content with this outcome.
Okay,
Well, why do you, just out of curiosity,
Yes.
why do you think having a company do, look at this again, just in a statistical way?
Yes,
Using the same valuation, using the same information that produced the last assessment is gonna correct the problem
Okay.
you perceive?
yes. That's a great question. I didn't want to get into it last night, but I think, I don't know how deeply familiar you are with the revaluation process. The way it works, I'll see if I can shorten it. The way it works is the assessor looks at qualified sales, arm's length transactions that, clearly help set the value of a property. The assessor then uses those. Okay, so that's one step of the revaluation. The second is the CAMA model, by calling it the appraised value calculator, has a bunch of weighting factors for all manner of characteristics: number of bedrooms, bathrooms, hardwood floors,
type of finishes, yep.
type of finishes, size of the parcel, view.
Everything you can imagine that could
It's a
be
huge number of
different or
factors.
similar.
And so the calculator, the CAMA model, is supposed to predict the sales price of the house, of the parcel. So the assessor takes the sales prices and adjusts the weighting factors for number of bedrooms and all those other factors, so that the CAMA model is supposed to produce the correct value of the home, of the property. That it's supposed to produce the same, close to the sales price of the property. It is our assertion that there were errors in the 2021. The choice of properties in 2021, and that materially affected the weighting factors that go into the model. There's no way to change the weighting factors in the model without some kind of revaluation. And so that's why we're asking it. That there is not only the price differential that we talked about last night. There are other factors that too numerous to get into in this meeting.
So
That
you're
lead us
just
to believe it's wrong.
assuming that a new company won't make the same errors that Todd made?
That's right. Or that should they come, my fond hope would be that the select board would get the information early enough to show to interested residents, to be able to have us look at it and at least respond. So that's the argument, that the CAMA model is incorrectly calibrated today, and that will persist until there's another revaluation.
Thank you.
Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning.
Dina, do we have anyone else on the, nobody else wishes to speak?
Just Jan, and I don't see a raised hand or anything, so.
Good morning, Ms. Williams. I'll have to relocate where I sit.
I don't have anything to add to what Rich just said.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so. Let's move
One
to,
of these is for Kevin. One of those is for Kevin, the other one is for Patty. I think she's coming.
okay, we'll wait a few minutes, Kevin, for Patty to join us. If we want to, before we meet with Kevin and Patty, why don't we take up the DRA recommended readoption of the veterans tax credit. And I believe in the packet, you guys saw either last night or today, a little bit of information about that, which spoke to the fact that the state had changed the qualifying regulations for the tax credit.
Looks like the big changes is that it now applies to active duty.
It applies to everybody, And it used to be, it had to be certain wars for certain time periods, and the town has voted quite a while ago to have a $500 tax credit. So this will be expanding that. We don't know by how much, but if we don't pass it, this is the kicker, everybody loses it because we won't have a law, and then we'll have to take it up next year from scratch. So, I will go ahead and move that we re-adopt the veterans tax credit.
I'll second that.
Do we have any further discussion on that? David? And Judy, aye.
You want a motion? I guess you did move.
I was starting to make a motion. So this will be Article 15 in the town report, and it reads, shall the town readopt the all veterans tax credit in accordance with RSA 72:28-B for an annual tax credit on residential property which shall be equal to the same amount as the standard or optional veterans tax credit voted by the town under RSA 72:28. And it is now going to read, recommended by the select board by a vote of 3-0.
Dina, it doesn't affect my view on this, but just out of curiosity, do we have any way of estimating what the likely cost of that is? I mean, if we could, it would be nice to be able to tell people.
Yeah, Judy asked me the same question, and there's really no way to put any kind of a realistic assessment on that,
You
because
just
I
don't
have
know.
no clue
Yeah.
how many people are in town that are actively, in the service and or were in other campaigns that didn't qualify before.
Oh, well, now, okay.
We had 58 people, I think Dina told me yesterday,
That's what it was.
that get the tax credit
At
now.
$500 a pop, so it's 2,500,
27.5 or something like that.
25 grand somewhere around.
Somewhere in that range, yep, so,
Currently.
we
But
don't
given,
know.
given the new law, I expect that to go up.
By, do you have,
We
well,
don't
you
know.
might have a good sense.
I don't have a real good sense, but I know that the town of Lyme has, many veterans who never qualified before and who never qualified as, were not able to become members of the American Legion or the Veterans of Foreign Wars because they weren't active during a specific conflict
Yeah.
and within specific dates, but, so in 2000, I think it was 2010, the federal government, changed the law to say that, any veteran from any service who was on active duty for one day is now eligible to become a member of the American Legion. So that put a lot of the older generations in the now eligibility bracket to become members of the American Legion and to have the benefits there from the American Legion.
And so this is just expanding that to
So that, yes, the state is now
recognizing it.
coming up to
13
speed with
years
the rest
later.
of the country. That, if they're eligible for membership into the American Legion, then they should be eligible for whatever benefit the town offers to those who are already pre-qualified.
So, did you see a spike in membership in the American Legion?
I don't believe so overall, probably nationwide, it wasn't a huge increase, and especially in the Northeast.
Yeah, that,
Because, so many of the veterans that I've talked to that are in the previous generations were like, well, I'm already 75 or 80 years old, I'm not gonna sign up to be in the American Legion now, because they're not gonna be able to help me. And,
right.
that's not totally accurate, there are some benefits out there that would help them in any way. But I also don't disagree with their thought process,
I've spoken to some in town that were, you know, they're really like pissed at the United States for not
Supporting them.
not supporting them and acknowledging them prior to 2010. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, these people were in the service in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s and 70s, and now all of a sudden in 2010 they're like, oh yeah, we'll make you guys, you're all eligible. So, I mean, I get it, but so I don't think that nationwide there was a huge increase. But you know, it certainly opened up the door and made everyone eligible.
Right, right. Okay, so we could have some more, but
So do you think,
probably not double.
yeah, that was my question, do you think
I
it'd double?
don't imagine that.
Okay, well, I mean, we voted, but I really support, I think anyone who signs up and serves deserves to be honored. And $500 isn't very much. Let me just take this guy. You can have the rest. Think of you. Oh, okay. All right, so, thank you, Sean,
You're
and,
welcome.
all right, so we have Kevin here, maybe Patty.
I just emailed Patty to see if she's coming. so-
Okay, we'll take some minutes. We have minutes of January 23rd, public and non-public, and minutes of January 26th.
I'm sorry, I usually have time to look at these, but I did not have time to look at them this time, so I would either, if we wait, that's fine, if not, if you guys wanna vote to approve them, I'll abstain.
Okay, what do you wanna do, Ben?
You can still vote on them.
Well, but I haven't read them now.
We can push them off?
Wait,
Well,
if you
you
want
wait.
to.
We have a draft,
Rather have you
I'm
all be
sorry,
sure.
but,
No, I'd rather have everybody sure of them, absolutely.
so we'll take them up. They are available as drafts, if anyone
Mhm.
wants to see them. And
Yeah.
we will, next time we will have a big packet of minutes.
There'll be lots of minutes next time, that's right.
Which will be in 2 weeks. Okay,
Well, can I preface that with, unless the ratio comes out, then I may need to ask you to meet, if you want to, prior to 2 weeks to get those numbers.
You're talking about the
Equalization
DRA.
ratio.
DRA stuff, yeah.
Yeah, you know what, if that came out, well, in particular, depending on what they were, that would have a lot of, you know,
Yeah.
if we get terrible numbers back for 2022 and we wanna do a
Right.
reappraisal, then
Yeah,
that would,
Make you look at things differently, that's right.
Sure
I think
would.
it's important to get them
which was
soon.
the point we were trying to make
Right.
at the end of the meeting last night.
Yes, I understand completely, thank you.
I'm sure you do. If you're like me, you mulled it all over all night long. All right, so minutes are at the next regular board meeting.
Right.
sorry about that, guys.
No, that's okay. And do we have a manifest this week?
You have this little one, because I didn't have time to do anything else.
What is the number on the bottom of that?
$38,432.44.
Whoa, my goodness.
Yeah,
You
the
better-
next one will be the Whopper.
Okay. We also need to just reaffirm, which we've already done, actually, the vote to not recommend Article 16. So that is on the agenda for today, and we've already done
Oh, yeah, I put that on there before we scheduled
Before
the
we-
meeting, I'm sorry.
that. That's okay, that's okay. Better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
There's that, and so Kevin is here to go over the warrant. We were hoping that, did you hear from Patty, Kevin?
Not yet, so in the interest of time, why
Yeah,
don't we get started and then.
Sure, do you
I
want to
can
come up and
refer.
join us, or are you happy staying back there?
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
And did you get the new, well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you
Yes.
gave me the
Okay.
copy. The only change was
The vote.
the vote on the Article
16, I
So
believe.
Kevin is our town moderator for anyone that's going to be looking at this later, and before town meeting, we go over the warrant. Such a good idea, I should do that.
Just my legs are so long that I'm
Well,
sitting
my legs
crunched
aren't
up.
long, but the table comes up to my chin.
Yeah.
All right, so, and we don't, you lead, go for it.
Great, well, thank you for taking the time, and I think it's just a really good practice to have a chance to talk through what's been going on and what the warrant has in mind and what your thinking is behind it. I had the town moderators workshop on Saturday, and as usual, the recommendation of meeting with key election officials, particularly the select board, beforehand, we've done this as a routine basis, so this routine is validated as best practice, so. anyway.
Excellent, good for you.
So what I was thinking was we could just walk through the warrant and then talk a little bit about any pre-town meeting activities and day of scheduling, does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Article 1 is pretty straightforward, that'll be the official ballot along with the zoning amendment, and I'll be doing my traditional prep with all the ballot clerks, and my sense is that we'll have a similar setup to what we had pre-COVID, which is, I wanna talk to Patty a little bit about this, about whether and I don't know yet whether the gym is gonna have a stage set up for the, school play or not. I have to
Yeah.
find out about
It
that.
does.
It does.
It does, because I only know that because we had to change some rec stuff. And they can only use half the gym or section of the gym.
All
But
right,
I don't know if the play will be over by then.
it usually isn't.
Right,
It's
I
usually
know.
like the weekend
The
after
weekend
town
after.
meeting.
So I don't know, yeah, but you should go and.
I'll go work that out,
exactly
and
how
we'll,
much.
Patty and I will work out the setup. When we had a stage before, the stage was an extension of the regular stage, and so we had the podium, and Patty, we may even have the select board there on a table, just to make sure that we had everybody visible, chairs, and then we had the official ballot voting at the west end. So one way or the other, we'll work it out, we've got different ways to do it. So Article 3, town operating budget, anything of a particular note, or first of all, anything of note or changes that we anticipate?
We have
moving
not
forward?
made any changes in the operating budget in a month and a half, during almost the whole time of the budget committee meetings. So that's pretty straightforward, and as I told you before, it's just under a 3% increase
Right.
in the budget.
Who's the budget committee chair right now?
Dick Jones,
So Dick
and he'll present.
will move it and present it?
Yeah,
And is there any additional comment or explanation that the board wants to make before we get into a floor debate?
I'm not aware of any right now. I know time is getting short. I mean, it was really pretty straightforward, but,
Okay.
I'll be relooking at it, and if I see anything, I'll bring it to Dina, and she can transmit it to the other board members. We'll let you know if there's
Okay.
anything in
but if
particular.
somebody was gonna speak to it, it would be you probably.
Yeah,
You
probably.
can just let me know. I'll assume no, and if that changes, just let me know. Day
Okay.
of if you have to.
I'll write it on the notes I give you.
Great.
Yeah,
All right, so Dick Jones, all right, Article 2, capital reserve, this looks pretty straightforward, it's just standard. Is anything sort of different or particularly notable that you wanna call attention to on
the
this one?
only notable thing that I would mention is it's $20,000 less than last year.
Right, and who's gonna move this one?
I don't know, I'll find somebody, that's what I
Or
usually do.
does this, usually someone from the select board has often moved this one just to provide explanation if you have.
I'm happy to do that if you want me to.
I think we ought to note that this is a little lower, it's always good.
That's always nice, and yet we're not cheating anybody.
Okay. Block grant appropriation always raises questions about how we're gonna spend it.
Yep, and that's gonna be, I think, the Goose Pond project.
And who's gonna move that one? You'll find somebody?
I
Ben?
usually just go through the audience and
Yeah.
find people
Yeah.
to
Oh,
move
okay.
these, yeah.
Is there
Do you-
any
do you
comment
want
in
to-
advance from the select board that you want,
Do
any
you wanna
explanation?
talk to that one, Ben, if they have questions or present it? I think it's the Goose Pond project, you're familiar with that.
Yeah, I can respond to comments.
Okay.
And Scott will be there, so he can
Yeah.
answer questions.
So,
Okay. Great. Withdrawal from the Public Works Facility Cap Reserve, that's the standard payment for the fire
Fire
station.
station.
Yeah.
We'll get someone to move that.
Yeah.
This is
And that would be
essentially-
Aaron,
Aaron will be there.
Aaron will be there,
This is a recurring article,
yeah.
Aaron.
And I don't have, but we do know when that one is concluded.
Yeah, I have it on that chart.
Yeah, right, I
But
did,
Yeah, it'll be helpful to
I'll
have
give
that.
that info to Aaron, yeah.
Okay.
yep. And then,
Withdrawal from Cap Reserve, Article 7, that's the
and
annual
that's the
payment on the
fire
fire truck.
truck,
Yeah.
so that's also fire and Aaron. And that one also, we'll get you that chart that shows when each of these expires, cause we're coming up close to a couple of them.
Two of
Yeah.
them, yeah.
Yeah, good. Withdrawal from capital reserve for the new highway truck.
Mhm.
Um,
So, someone will move that, Scott can talk to that.
Okay. Class roads capital reserve, that's also the Goose Pond project, so,
Mhm. That'd be Ben
Ben.
and Scott.
yep. Firefighting safety equipment trust fund, that's basically making available all the funds that are in the trust fund for possible expenditure, right? Or-
Not all of them, but it's making it
Portion.
available
Yeah.
for 9 firefighters,
Okay.
but Aaron can explain that too.
Aaron, yeah, that would
Maybe
be,
get Aaron to move that one.
Mhm.
okay.
Independence Day is pretty straightforward, that's just the in and out fund.
I'll just find someone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only proviso is if someone doesn't volunteer and they need to do it pretty quickly after town meeting, there won't be a 4th of July Independence Day.
It's good to have the money voted though, just in case.
Yes, yes, it
Yeah, I
is.
can make a pitch, just, hey, we need a volunteer or two to take this on and help create a Lyme-centric
Yeah,
celebration.
Well,
it
it
isn't,
doesn't be that, it doesn't need to be a big elaborate thing either, it can just be a parade and a, cookout or something.
right,
So, anyways,
anyway,
I think the rec committee might be thinking about helping with that, so, which would be nice.
um,
Okay.
yeah, it's some work, so someone shouldn't volunteer if they're not gonna do anything, that doesn't help.
Right,
I don't know that you need to say that, it's just,
well, I'll
it's
just,
usually,
I'll put it out there.
2 weekends before the 4th of July that somebody says, oh, maybe we should do something, and that's
Right.
just too late. I think Sean says if we're gonna have a parade, you need a month's
A month,
notice
yeah.
at least
Yes.
to organize.
Right,
To get the paperwork to Concord and all that.
right. Milfoil treatment, anything to say about this one?
I think that would be Sue,
I'll find someone.
And,
And it's not them that, we would need to answer the questions about the grant, because that's through the town, it's not. But anyways, I'm sure Sue will wanna say something about the milfoil committee.
Who's
No,
this?
no, it's not a committee, Sue McKenzie.
Mackenzie.
Oh,
She's very
That's it.
active with the group that does the pulling of the milfoil, the harvesting.
Who's the chair of the Conservation Commission now?
Like,
It's still Blake, okay.
And he may wanna speak, well, they could move it.
Blake could move it and Sue could be available to,
Find somebody, yeah,
yeah.
I usually find somebody that's
Yeah,
supportive
Blake is
of it.
off, Blake has moved it several times in the past, so. All right, withdrawal from cemetery maintenance gifts and donations fund, that's the in and out fund as well, with contributions from the previous year that you then make available for maintenance.
No,
Well,
it's a gift that
This
came
is-
about
yeah.
10 years ago that's been chipped away at, and that's
Oh.
what's left.
Oh, okay, I was thinking that was
this is from the
their
Wises, I think.
occasional additions
It's
that
from
come
the
in.
WISE donation, yeah,
Yeah,
Got it.
but it will be spent, most of it this year, which is great.
Is there anyone who
I'll
wants
find
to
one of the cemetery
speak
trustees.
to how it's being spent, because I know we've had this recurring article.
I'm sure
and-
Jay will want to, because they're the one, they're looking at a mapping system
Oh,
and a software.
Jay,
Joe,
Jay Davis,
Jay Davis.
this is
Oh.
Jay, he's a trustee.
Jay
Oh.
Carey.
Jay Carey, sorry. Jay Carey, Lori Wadsworth, and Michael Hensley. Sorry. So
Okay.
I'll find one of them.
Thank you.
And I don't know which one will wanna speak to.
I got tired of phone call.
that's okay. I figured so.
Good, okay.
Appoint agents to the firefighting safety equipment purchasing and maintenance trust fund. Is that the previous fund that was,
Yes.
that was for Article 10, so we don't have trustees for that?
This is overseen by like a capital reserve fund, and the agents to expend is the town. But what happens is, if they get 2 new firefighters and they need equipment for them,
Yeah,
they can't get it until we wait till the next town meeting to have a vote. So they wanna change who is the agent to expend.
So they want
who's the agent to
select-
expend now, is it the
The
trustees?
town.
Oh, it's the
It's
town, it's not,
town
oh, I
meeting.
see, okay.
So they want to have the board, the select board, able to
Standard
expend,
process,
but
yeah.
only with a written request from the fire
From the
chief.
fire chief.
So that's the check on the
Upon written request, okay. And
just
so,
reputable board.
that probably deserves some explanation, just so people understand that this is,
Yep.
it's
And Aaron
required.
requested it, so we'll have Aaron.
Aaron should
Aaron
speak
can
to it.
explain it,
David,
yeah.
in case there's a follow-up, are you feeling comfortable with this Article 14? Let me see if I have another copy.
That's not what I
There
wrote
was a
here.
copy for Patty, I had ones made for
Yeah.
everyone, I don't know where,
That's your copy.
where it's going, oh, okay, good.
So actually, we talked about this in the moderators workshop, that actually you can create trust funds, but you actually have to appoint somebody who has the authority to spend during the year, so this is common, it's a common practice. And there are probably a
Well,
couple of other trust funds.
you
but
could-
it's-
There's a lot.
Say that when it gets introduced, that would be helpful, because I do think that there is some hesitancy for the select board to be able to.
Every time we
act.
ask for any extension of select board authority, we get voted down.
Yeah, that, when this was first brought up at the budget committee, there was a member of the budget committee who started to laugh, and I was like, what do you laugh? So I asked him later, and he said, well, I just thought that was funny, because last year, every time you asked for something, if you were gonna have the authority, it was a resounding no way, Jose.
Right.
Well, the
So-
message from New Hampshire Municipal is any new capital reserve or trust fund that you start, it needs to have somebody to expend that you don't have to wait till, or it should,
Have
because of
Right.
the issue of spending out
Exactly.
of them, it makes it
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah,
Right.
But again, like you said, the board tried to change that with the class 5 road fund, it
yeah.
got voted down.
So anyway, it's a
And they
touchy,
can still vote it down.
it's a touchy subject, but it would be nice if we could reassure the town that this is what's recommended, and in this case, say there's, and I'm sure Aaron will make this argument, say they get 2 new firefighters halfway through the year, they've got to put them in safety equipment, or they are not allowed to do anything at a scene. And right now, they're 6 months out before they can do anything, because town meeting has to vote for it.
So all the other, let's see, we're talking about trust funds versus capital reserve funds. Are those handled differently?
No,
They're basically the same. So in the other cases, vehicle capital was, well,
yeah,
you actually have to
Go to town meeting.
vote
Right.
at town meeting to give the board the authority to expend the money.
Yep.
And this is simply setting up a process saying that we don't know if we're gonna spend the money.
right.
If we need to,
Right.
we need to have a process to do that before coming back to town meeting for that very reason.
Right.
And therefore, it's the fire chief explicitly requesting it, and that's the only case in which the funds
Right.
are expended. That's your check and balance.
Any
Right,
emergency
right.
equipment, that's right, that is your check.
And written, not just a phone call in the middle of the
Yeah,
night.
yeah, well, it
saying,
says written in
Yeah.
here, so,
I
yeah.
need X, so, yeah,
Yeah, and I can,
if you
if
could
people
talk
have
about.
questions about that, I can say, this is a pretty standard practice, you have to be able to appoint someone to
Right.
expend.
And you can also speak to that.
Okay. All right, readopting the veterans tax credit, that's what you just voted on,
We
yes?
just voted on
That's
that,
your
yeah.
3-0 vote, okay. Sean, do you wanna be available to move that one?
What's that?
The Article 15, the veterans tax credit, and then
Sure.
speak to it in the way you just did?
Yep.
Okay, I
Yeah.
just wanna warn you that it may change, because if I go looking for these people at town meeting, because usually I just get them from Patty and I go find people to move them. So if they're not there, it may change,
That's
and I
fine.
will write their name on it so you know who
That's
it
fine.
is.
I'm gonna put Sean in parentheses here, just in case.
Well, I'm just thinking, you know, if we have a fire or if we have an
Yeah.
emergency.
No, I
And I'm
understand.
happy if there are questions, but I think Sean can answer them better than anybody. But
Yeah,
the select board certainly just voted 3-0 to support it.
yep. Petition warrant article for statistical reevaluation. Is there a petitioner? There's likely a petitioner who's.
Yes,
Are you a
it'll,
petitioner?
I am one of the petitioners, yes, so, either I or somebody from our group will do it. I will let you know. I will let Dina
Me
know.
and Dina know, but mainly Dina, so that your name gets on the list.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Okay. And then, as is common practice, whoever moved the article has the right to speak first, so you can provide whatever explanation you want at that
Exactly.
point.
Short, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can speak up to that. Hebe Clinton has just, asked to be done as the person to be doing that.
Okay, I'll make sure that Hebe is available, because we also have her on the list for.
Getting on right now.
Yeah, just
Okay.
let's get on.
Can you mute them right now?
They are muted.
Oh,
They come in muted, but,
okay.
sorry.
All right, is the select board gonna be, you're gonna wanna speak to this
We
after the
probably
movie?
will want to speak to this.
Okay, and who from the board? Or I can just call it the board and you can figure
Yeah,
it out.
we'll duke it out.
And then reports of agents, auditors, committees, do we know of anything that folks in particular are interested in sharing? And sometimes the energy
Yeah.
committee has come
So
up.
what-
or the
what did he say? I said-
committee
I
comes-
haven't heard of anybody yet.
Good,
But,
all right.
yeah, maybe, this
Any
is
other
so
business?
I wonder if the energy committee's gonna wanna talk about the library solar.
That's what I thought, but we'll see,
Might be.
once we get a little farther.
We had, once upon a time, I'm sorry that Sean has had to go out, thought we were gonna try and have a general discussion at town meeting about the backside of the common. But we haven't talked about that for months, and I'm not sure we're really, there's enough other stuff going on right now. We may punt that again, but,
what I told them, what was the first
remember we had talked about bringing it up at town meeting? We had that small meeting that was a special meeting. I doubt that we're gonna bring that forward, but if we decide in the next couple of weeks to do that, we'll let you know.
And that would be to discuss.
Just talk about some thoughts that we have, thoughts other people have, whether it's gonna be a one-way street, or whether it's gonna include some parking, or whether we're gonna do some fencing, or generally, not a specific landscape plan, not a specific use plan, just a start on maybe working with that particular road that the town now owns.
Do we even have, yeah, I was gonna say, do we even have authority of that road? I thought that was a
Yes.
state highway.
It's
No, it's in
town
towns
road.
now.
Oh, did that get, when did that get converted?
A couple of years ago.
Oh, missed that.
We reached out to the state to talk about the road, and the next thing we knew, they sent us a letter that it was ours. Apparently,
Can you turn that down?
It's good up.
too late now.
Yeah, right.
No, I think it's a good thing for the town to own it, we just need to be able to make as many people as possible happy with what we do with
Right.
it, but this may not be the goal.
Making-
That's the goal, making people happy, well, getting them involved.
Well, having a robust conversation about how do we use the common, and how do we use this road, and how we historically used it, how do we want to use it going forward, seems like a reasonable conversation.
It is, and I'm just not sure if this is the year, I'd like maybe to have one more year without COVID being such a big presence to get more back to normal before we really get into that. Everybody's kind of hyper in my opinion.
Passionate is the word.
Oh.
Everybody's passionate and stressed about
Stressed
things.
is the word,
That's right.
okay.
Is there anything else warrant-wise that claims to your attention? We talked about the setup, we'll figure out the setup based on what we know about the school and the stage. So there may be an extended stage, in which case we'd have to have official ballot voting at the west end. But you and I can figure that out as mechanics as much as anything.
Food, did we find out if the school was gonna do anything, do we?
I haven't talked to them yet, but there might be food in the lobby during the day. But actually, I don't think that affects the mechanics of the warrant and the meeting.
What about, like last year we skipped the reading of the first and deaths and all that stuff?
I think we're at the point where we can head back toward a more normal, you know, pre-meeting set of, pre-meeting ritual. We usually honor veterans, we burst in deaths, probably have a few announcements, and then we get into we do the pledge, and then we go through the moderator's rules, and then off we go. Oh, we're Citizen of the Year, and then off we go. So I feel comfortable using, going back to that approach and not trying to cut it short this year.
Okay,
How does
well,
everybody
that
else feel about that?
is fine, right? I don't,
Yeah,
I just,
it's fine. I personally never kind of got into the births and deaths. It's in the town report, but if it makes people happy and if it seems like it's going back to what we've always done, it'd be nice to be settled again.
Yeah, I mean, we sort of have that past, present, and future, you know, celebrating the past, we do Citizen of the Year, and then we welcome our newest Lyme neighbors, and off we go.
and did you discuss Little Town meeting?
Not
Not yet.
yet.
Okay.
We waited for you.
Oh.
Yeah, just
Thank you.
anything else on the warrant or town meeting that you want me to know about, and aside from my normal sort of planning and communications with ballot clerks, et cetera?
No. After
Okay.
you have your meeting with the ballot clerks, will you just let us know if there are any changes or anything like that? You can just send an email to Dina.
Yeah, we'll just keep you all in the loop in terms of setup, and we should all plan on being here on Monday night to do setup, because it is a little bit more complicated with all the chairs and making sure the sound system works, so we've gotta get all the voting booths and everything else, so it'll take a little longer than normal.
So
Who's
what
that?
time Monday night, so I can make sure Matt's there?
5:00.
5 o'clock Monday night?
Who is our contact, is it still Doug William?
Yes, Doug
Okay.
Killian, yeah, yeah.
And that's the Monday before town meeting, Ben and David, and it's, so town meeting is the second Tuesday of the month, so,
14th. It's my 14th.
okay.
So Monday the 13th would be set up at 5.
Thank you. And it usually takes an hour.
Yeah, an hour, hour and a half, a little bit longer, depending whether they've got the chairs set, if they don't have the chairs, we usually try to adjust the chairs.
Yeah.
We'll still try to space them out a little bit, and try and keep some sense of social distancing where we can, so.
And then we three, I don't know if we're gonna do it right now, but we three need to decide, there has to be a select board member there the whole time that it's open, the town meeting and the voting is open. We're doing 7 to 7 again.
Yes.
Right, well, that's what you decided, because you published it.
Well, you
Judy,
can't
I'm
change
sorry,
that without.
the setup is 6 to 7 PM on Monday,
Five.
March,
It's
5.
5 to 6,
5 to 6
5
PM
to
on
6:30.
Monday, March 13th?
yes.
Yes,
And, so we can talk about, I mean, and let you know, you don't have to sit here for that, but we usually take a 4-hour shift.
whatever your coverage is.
Well, you'll be there for the meeting anyway, at 4.
Yeah, we're there for the meeting in the morning, someone has to be there at 7 AM, and then split the rest of it, and then I usually stay because I help with counting, so I usually.
But you can't do that this year, because you're on the
Because I'm
ballot.
running, so I can't do any of the counting.
But you can help with the cleanup and things as well.
Yep,
Yeah.
happy to do that,
Yeah.
so,
I think you're the only one on the ballot. Bill's on the ballot, but I think he's exempt because he's as a moderator, he
school.
can count.
as a
Just
moderator,
count something other than school reserve.
yeah,
For him.
Yeah.
Town meeting itself is Tuesday,
the
March,
14th.
at what time?
Starts at
7 AM official ballot, 7 AM to 7 PM official ballot, and the meeting itself starts at 9. Yeah.
That's right, thank you.
And I would imagine we could be done by noon, hopefully earlier, because
It's, yeah, I think the big discussion item will be the petition article.
Yep.
And the others, I think, there really wasn't a lot of discussion in any of the meetings about the operating budget or into the capital reserves and trust funds. The other warrant articles, again, are, I
they're
personally
pretty straightforward.
They're very straightforward,
Yeah,
there's
and
nothing.
they're
new.
very similar in
Yep.
scope and scale to what there aren't a lot of different warrant articles that we've had in the past.
Right.
It's all the same articles with different amounts and slightly different purposes, but it's a pretty
And
standard
it's not a
warrant.
lot of money, and very little of it is actually newly raised by taxes,
Right.
so that always helps.
I think now the question is, do we do anything, any informational session pre-town meeting? I had a conversation with Judy Russell yesterday, and she is interested in hosting a candidates forum by Zoom, which apparently was quite successful last year. They got a lot of participation, they got a lot of the candidates. And that, I think also that somehow noting, you put the note out about the candidates, but a reminder that there are several positions that have, for which we have fewer candidates than slots. That anyone who wants to step up as a write-in to, you know, let yourself be known through the listserv and the candidates forum. I'm inclined to not host a little town meeting, in part because the warrant itself is pretty routine. The zoning amendment is essentially a correction amendment to adopt the new state standards. It's not a big shift. So I can't imagine a lot of debate or discussion about that beyond what the planning board would be doing anyway. And with the library prepared to step up with the candidates forum and all the other vehicles by which we have ways to discuss and debate and share information about the warrant, the listserv, et cetera, that would be my thinking, but I don't have a strong feeling about that one with the other.
Well, I would certainly support that. We all have had lots and lots of extra meetings, and sometimes it's nice to be a little fresh for the big meeting, and if you just go over it and over it, by the time you get to town meeting, it sounds rote rather than more heartfelt. I don't know, I believe in the last few years it has seemed to be just repetitious,
You know, we did not have a little town meeting last year.
right?
And the two previous years, we did it by Zoom. So, you know, we haven't had, it would be going back to 2020 that we
I
had
think
this.
Judy Russell posted a really good candidates forum. I don't know that, she might have done a little bit on the warrant, but I don't remember it specifically.
And as I said, I talked with her yesterday, she's very happy to do it again.
Yep,
She thought it went really well and she had a really good turnout.
it's just my opinion. Ben, David, Patty, I don't know, you guys all chime in, how you feel about that meeting? Dina?
My only comment would be that the feedback I got back not having Little Town meeting, there was some disappointment, and there were some people who would have appreciated the opportunity to get that heads up in a group setting, but, you know, they got through it. That's just,
Yeah,
I'm not advocating one way or another, I'm just telling you that's the feedback I got.
Well, I know we've used town meeting, little town meeting for almost like information gathering, like, oh, these are the questions we're gonna be needing to feel. That's
Answer.
the only thing.
Yeah.
And then you're more prepared, and you can get more info
yeah.
ready, but that's,
Ben, what are your thoughts?
Whichever way the wind blows.
That's so helpful, Ben. David, you're gonna do the same thing, aren't
I
you?
don't have a strong view on this, you know, if our moderator is recommending against it, then that's fine.
I won't say I'm recommending against it, I'm just recognizing that, it's a lot of effort to pull it off. And with other means of sharing information, my perception is it may have less value than it might have had, 5 or 8 years ago.
Which is a fair statement.
Yeah. Rich?
So I enjoy a little town meeting, but then I also understand that it's a whole lot of work to put it on. Did I understand you? I don't believe there's any zoning amendments.
There is one zoning amendment, but I'm reading it as a technical amendment to.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the floodplain?
Yeah,
Lyme
it
flood.
Oh.
conforms to the new FEMA regulations.
right,
'Cause if you don't,
right.
people who get that insurance through FEMA.
Yes,
can't
right.
get it.
Right. So it's literally a technical amendment.
Yes,
There's no
right.
fundamental change.
I'm
in the-
quite
in the
aware, I
code.
sat in those meetings and, yeah, and
That's right, you're
so,
on
Little Town Meeting is a social opportunity, but it's also a lot of work, so that, I will say, that's all I wanna say there, and so you guys need to decide.
Okay.
Are there any other comments or observations?
I don't see anything on Zoom.
Okay.
I would be inclined to let it go,
Okay.
and just let Judy can take
Post
the
the
lead on
candidates.
announcing candidate forum. She can have that whenever she feels it's appropriate.
Do we have to decide this now? Could we put it out that we're thinking of foregoing it and invite people to comment at our next meeting before we vote, or do we need to decide this today? Because if there's a significant segment, look, I'm fine passing it, and I've had more than my share of these,
Extra
select board
meetings.
extra meetings, but if there's some small segment, even if it's a small segment of the community that feels really passionately that we ought to have a little town meeting, then that would maybe change how I feel about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, let me just clarify, Little Town Meeting it's not required in statute. It's
Mhm.
not, it's only a practice that we've engaged in for probably long before I was ever in town.
Yes.
Forever.
40, forever, or
Forever.
30 or 40 years, 30 years anyway. I
Yeah,
would
going
say.
back several
At
town
least.
moderators.
Yeah,
And, you know, the way I handled it and the way Bill Waste handed it off to me is to say that it's informational only. It's not a pre-debate for the debate. It's only about ask questions, seek clarification. Where we did have debate was on the zoning articles, because that was the only place to do it prior to the vote and after the planning board. And then meeting the candidates. So,
yeah, to me, the big thing is meeting the candidates, and, it seemed like if people had questions, it turns into debate. That's where I felt like it was one extra step.
yeah, and I'm
So,
pretty
and-
careful about saying, no, we're not debating this. If you have a question,
Yeah,
I'm gonna wrap my gavel if you start
I wonder if
expressing your
there's,
opinion,
It-
so.
It wouldn't hurt to do what David is suggesting, would it? I mean, I think
2 weeks out,
you're
what did we
reaching,
look
you're
at?
reaching out to the community and asking them how they feel.
Didn't
Might be a
we-
good thing.
Didn't we forego a Little Town Meeting
Yeah,
once
you weren't in here.
in COVID?
Yeah,
Oh, we did twice, well, we did,
And
the
If
first
I
year of
recall, people
COVID,
were fairly irate.
well, the first year, the 2021, we did it by Zoom. 2020, we did have a little town meeting, because COVID hadn't broken yet, it broke right after town meeting.
True.
2022, we also did a Zoom, 2022 was last year.
last year
We
when
didn't,
Judy Russell did the candidates, and they did a little bit of discussion.
right, so we didn't have a little town meeting last year, and a lot of folks we basically decided not to hold it because it was challenging on Zoom, and we did not want to have another public gathering at that point in the COVID pandemic.
Right.
And a number of people, several people said, wait a minute, this is illegal, you can't do that, you can't, and I said, no, it's not required, it's simply an unofficial forum in which we ask questions. It's been a Lyme tradition, and that's all. So, there is no legal obligation.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that there is, I'm just saying, you know, I mean, I recall that there was a listserv uproar when you didn't have it. And-
I think it was an uproar, there were 2 or 3 voices that were roaring, and the rest of the listserv was, people were weighing in, but not roaring, I would say, so.
Tradition is the magic word though, and that's why it might be worth reaching out, but that's just.
Well, we have another meeting on the 23rd, which is 2 weeks, just about. Let me think a second, am I 2 weeks before? No, Little Town meeting's 1 week before Little Town meeting,
Right.
so we would really have to know before then.
23rd is your next meeting? No, it would be 2 weeks.
Well, it would have to be, I know, if all 3
10
selectmen are
days.
there, it would have to be a posted meeting, right?
Yeah.
You mean Little Town meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you would-
I
you
was
need to
wondering
post it,
about,
yeah.
as an alternative, if we had Little Town meeting, but we didn't have in person, we did a Zoom. Like Judy's doing the candidates, if we could meet here and do a Zoom and have people in their homes tuning in. But I think maybe Rich nailed it on the head. I think for some people it is social time. And-
That's my sense.
Yeah, and,
Well, I don't really know where the nexus of,
School.
well, I don't know where the next, who is sort of the decision maker on this, whether it's the board or whether it's all of us together, or, I mean,
Well,
I
I-
just don't, traditionally, who took the lead on organizing it, whether it was the town moderator, or whether it's the select board, or whether we all
well,
sort of did it together.
when I first remember it, the moderator didn't run it, and neither did the board. It was an individual who acted as the quasi-moderator, and was mostly zoning amendments and candidates and an occasional question. And then it developed into more if you had a question about the school, because the school budget comes up 3 days later.
Right.
But the last few years, there was actually very little about the school. The pre-COVID, there was still very little bit
Right.
about the school. And by then, the moderator had become the person who ran the meeting, and it wasn't a board meeting. Bye.
No, I'm just gonna use the restroom real quick, I did my proxy to bed.
Your non-committal proxy. Thank you.
In my tenure, it's been run by the moderator, and I think for at least a portion of Bill's tenure, I remember coming to Little Town Meeting, and it was, you know,
It was
he
him.
had stewarded it.
But
and
before
walked
that, it
everyone
was
through that.
usually somebody else.
Oh.
I don't think it was a board member. I can't remember. Who
That
used
did the
to?
moderator.
Yeah.
You used to ask like the school moderator because they weren't the town moderator
And
there.
it was
Mr.
mostly-
Washburn did it for
Well, he did it for a while, Glenn Buzzell did it
years,
for a
Glenn
while.
Buzzell,
Yeah.
right,
You know, it was whoever could make the most noise, it
right.
wasn't, you know.
Or whoever was the funniest.
You speak the loudest, without a microphone.
Without a microphone, yeah, those days there weren't
Have
microphones.
a message on it.
Roger Rich, I think, might have done it for a while, or Everett.
Everett,
Before
yeah,
mine.
when he was town moderator,
Yeah.
so.
So Hebe says as long as there's enough opportunity to discuss the petitioned warrant article at town meeting, I see no problem.
We will have as much time as
Thank you,
necessary
Ms. Quinton.
just to discuss the articles as they come up, as people wanna discuss. I mean, until we get into saying the same things over and over and over, I mean, there's as much opportunity as the legislative body wants to take. That's not my job is only to keep us from getting into redundancy.
And fights.
And fights.
Yeah.
No, that's Sean's job.
Well, it's my job first, and I only rely on Sean if I really need him, so.
Well, that's interesting. I appreciate Hebe sending in a note. That's the one concern. I would like us to try it without it, if I can just be the one naysayer, I guess. To me,
So-
for
so-
me, it's just a lot of work for the same thing that we can do a week later. But I know that Dina likes to know if there's gonna be a question that we won't have the answer to.
So how about this, we asked Judy to put the word out that there's gonna be a candidates forum, that will be that's the only pre-town meeting forum that's being planned. And she can set that up however she wants, and if she wants to also use that to, you know, ask me or someone to come on and explain the warrant, or a member of the board to come on, we can do that, and see if there's a big blowback from that, say, wait a minute, what about Little Town Meeting? That way we're not sort of
Inviting people to
inviting people
complain
to
that
get
you're
all upset about it.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Sure.
I like that. Yep.
Okay. And I'll ask Judy to just do it straight up, you know.
Yep.
Promote it as you are, and then if the listserv lights up, then you can discuss
Last
it at your
minute.
meeting and we can arrange something.
But you need to make it clear that it's not to discuss and answer questions about the article when you're pronouncing it, because, I mean, when you're announcing it, because people are gonna think they can get on the Zoom and have a big discussion about the articles.
Yeah,
If
that
you're
would
gonna do
be-
that, then you need to make sure,
I can talk with Judy and see if she wants to limit it to the candidates forum, that's my sense.
right,
Yeah,
And if she wants to offer an opportunity to ask questions or seek clarification, then I'll ask her to get in touch with one of you two to potentially be, well, one
To
of the
be
board
on the
members to be
Zoom.
available, pardon me, to answer a question if it comes up.
when will the town report be out?
the plan right now, is it has to be a week before town meeting, so we have to have it for
Oh.
Little Town Meeting.
It's
But
We
usually
should
Bill.
have it, we should have it Friday, March 3rd. And then I usually leave them, you know, so
Around
people
and
can come
about.
pick them up and
So we
do whatever
could,
they want.
what I'm thinking is even set up some, maybe an email thing, if the town reports out, look at the warrants, any questions, email us, and, you know, we will try and have your answers at town meeting, something like that.
Are you planning to prepare a select board's description of the warrant articles, a mailer as you've done in the past?
I was not planning on it, because again, I think it is so straightforward.
Do we
I suppose-
circulate the warrant? That's
That's-
something
I'm
to do about the
wondering.
listserv, just
We-
take this
The
and
warrant,
circulate it.
well, it's all gonna be right on the website, and there's a little green bar that says, you know, and the
But we
school
could
stuff and the
also,
town stuff is
we
there.
could also attach it to an actual, or we could do a mailing, so people can see it ahead of time, but.
I think it's useful to use whatever normal communications you use. I know that the assessing clerk is putting stuff on to announce select board meetings.
Right,
Just do a special,
well, when she posts it on the web, it will go out as a news and announcement, and it'll go to the listserv, and there'll be a link that somebody can click and go on.
right,
It'll
but
be
just
there.
to add to that, to call attention to, this is the town warrant, we're gonna be voting on it on the 13th, on the 14th. If you have specific questions, or seek clarification, to contact X. And that also, you know, that's another way in which people can get that information. I'm just thinking being more explicit and affirmative about it, and inviting those comments and questions as an alternative to Little Town Meeting. Does that make sense?
I think it does, there's some thought process.
Sure.
I know Dina objects to putting stuff directly on the listserv,
I
but
object to putting information that
Can
may
be
be
garnered elsewhere.
misunderstood, or when listserv started, it's always been a concern of past board members, I don't even know if you guys have ever talked about it, but that it's not an official town site, town communication. We have a website for that, and it sends out news and announcements, you know, just like Lyme listserv does. So there was some concern about what you should post and be careful about what you're putting out there. Now, if you're just posting the warrant and saying, here it is, you know, that's one thing.
That's all I'm saying, really.
Right.
And as long as there's a way that is convenient for people to reach back and connect with anyone at the town, whether it's a member of the board or you, for questions and, you know, information, that's fine. And it may be that, you know, I piggyback on that, or Patty piggybacks on that, from both the town clerk and town moderator perspective, saying, you saw this listserv post, you know, please take a look. We're convening town meeting, town meeting will be taking place on the 14th.
I'd like to try something like that. I think,
We should say.
I think we're still reaching out, we're still encouraging questions or responses or comments, but we're gonna hold the discussion at town meeting.
And if there's huge blowback, say, wait a minute, we need to do this little town meeting, then we can decide on the 23rd.
On the 23rd, we can decide, or definitely next year. But, yeah, if it really looks like we just misstepped, we need to hustle.
Does that work for you? Does that make sense?
Gotcha.
Okay. All right. I gotta get back to work. Is there anything else?
I think
Wait, you have
that's-
a job?
At the moment I do. I'm working on, I'm trying to get rid of that.
Oh, be careful. Look what happens when you retire.
I'm very good at saying no.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to
And
bed.
I still haven't decided when I'm gonna run for town moderator next year, so we'll see about that.
Okay.
So,
There'll be some heavy lobbying coming your way.
Don't you have to train your successor?
well, that would be part of the game, yeah. I'm good, I have 2 more town meetings for sure, so. So the town warrant's gonna get circulated in the manner which you described. I'm gonna call Judy and suggest to her that ask if she's gonna do anything more than candidate forum. If she's gonna do more than that, she can be back in touch with you, Judy, about
Yeah.
having someone on the board available on the Zoom. To get that out relatively soon, and we'll see what the listserv says. Anything else?
That's our polling, what do they call those polling companies?
Yeah, that's our survey mechanism. All right, thank you all.
Thank you
Anything
very
else?
much.
If you think of anything else, let me know.
This is the final,
Yes,
It's not signed.
it's not signed,
It's
yes,
not the
but that's,
final
yeah.
signed one.
but I can,
you can use that. Thank you, Patty, for
yeah,
rushing
sorry, I
down.
was late.
No, no.
I'll email you a copy of the.
Sean, I'm assuming you guys are gonna be sort of in and out all day? Great. It's always helpful to have you around. Alrighty, thank you,
Very
everybody.
good, thank you.
Good to see you, Kevin. Nice job.
Thank you, Patty.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay.
So now I wanna clarify one thing in my brain. Honestly, I swear, I'm just brain dead here.
It's been a lot going on lately.
Yeah, well, the message that's gonna go out, he's gonna talk to Judy about
Judy.
Zoom, and then if she wants to do some kind of a thing, who's putting a message out that what might be happening to hear back if people are upset
I
about
think
no
if
town
she
meeting?
if she's gonna do something, she should put the message out, and then you can respond to that by saying,
Okay,
the board agrees, we will be,
didn't know if it was coming from you guys or from Kevin, so I
I
was
think
confused.
it's coming from Judy, he's gonna talk to her.
Okay,
You are gonna circulate, or we are gonna
Right.
circulate
The warrant.
the town warrant, make sure people can see it, and encourage them. Send us an
And for
email.
whatever it's worth, I don't know what the prior board's view on this was, but I don't feel any particular prejudice against the listserv. As a matter of fact, the listserv is probably much more widely used and read in town than the town official website. And so, while I wouldn't wanna stop using the town website for this kind of stuff, yeah, I want it to be on there, but dual posting of anything seems fine to me.
Okay,
I don't
thank
know,
you,
it's just my view.
yeah.
The more the merrier, I think.
My view is I think we need to be careful not to have conversations
Right.
on the listserv, but there are times where I think that gets people's attention first.
well, to be fair to the past people that were concerned about it, it was generally because it was a very easy way to initiate, or people felt like it was initiating, that you could have a conversation back and forth with them about, facts, and then things would get
So
out of
a
control.
better thing for people to understand is send an email.
Right,
And we'll bring it up at one of our meetings, or if it's an easily answered email, Dina or one of us will answer it. So, because we want to communicate with people.
right.
Yeah, but for stuff like this, where we're just sending out information.
Right, yes, no, I agree, and it should be posted, because if someone misses their email, they see it, but they don't read it, they're gonna wanna go find it somewhere, and they can go to the website.
Well, we'll be putting it out, I probably won't get to it till Monday. At the school, at our posting areas, it'll have the budget, it'll have the
Yep.
warrant articles, it'll have everything
Yep,
for the people that aren't going on the listserv
right,
or on the website.
right. Okay, I think we had a manifest circulating,
Oh, yeah, it's top with me, I had a couple.
questions.
What's the fiscal correction with the town of Enfield, do you know?
That's Sean's money. No, it's for the legal, the town attorney thing that we
It's
do.
for our prosecutor.
Our prosecutor thing.
Oh, okay.
And there was an adjustment in the price in 2022, so that's what that was.
And the 25,500 for Wagner Tree Care.
The chipper?
What was that? No, just
down trees that we need to shred or?
No, the highway guys purchased
Oh, that's
the
the one we
chipper that you
approved,
guys
okay,
approved.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
I'm like, oh my God, did I forget to have you approve that?
Oh, they did it, I was here.
My brain, oh my God. Yeah, okay,
Oh,
good.
those are the only questions on it.
Did you sign it?
Oh, no, I didn't sign it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay,
I was laughing. At how panicked I was when he said that.
thank
Careful,
you.
that ink will be wet for a second.
Oh, while you're signing, just
Yes,
pass those around.
is that
That's the warrant.
the warrant?
Yes.
Good.
Well, it's just the last sheet of it, but
We're gonna sign
you
that
have
many
to
last
sign
sheets.
every single one of them, sir.
So
Where are you gonna
just,
send them all?
I'm gonna post them around town.
gonna
Oh,
make
okay.
airplanes out of them. The manifest that we have just approved is for $38,432.44.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
And we are now signing town warrant. And it will be, as you've all heard, if you paid attention and didn't go get a cup of coffee, posted. And going forward to town meeting on March 14th, town meeting. Dina, do we have anything else?
I would like to ask one thing about this,
Yes, ma'am.
since this is gonna be a
This that she's
Document.
looking at is the statement I read
Statement
last
that you
night
guys did
at the
last
budget
night.
committee.
And to see if you'd like to change the
The wording.
wording to match exactly what it says on Visions.
I would like to do that.
Okay, so I will make that change and then you guys can re-sign it. Is that sensible?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes, we had it phrased the other way, and we changed it to comply with what we thought it actually said.
Right,
And we were corrected,
right.
for which I believe I apologized. I will
Mhm.
apologize again.
Mhm.
I am sorry for that inaccurate information.
So Dina, if I could,
Definitely my fault.
would you read the corrected wording to me, just say it?
Well, I don't have it right
Ah.
here because I don't have the vision thing, but I'm gonna take exactly off. What I asked them for was a town-wide revaluation.
Yes, okay.
So, that's what I had heard in a meeting and had in the minutes that the petitioners were considering.
Mhm.
Maybe you changed, maybe I misunderstood, I don't know what. So that's why that was
Okay.
asked for. And it's, yeah, anyways,
So that, you're gonna change it to say what it says in the vision quote.
correct.
In the, yes,
I see.
yes. And I'm looking to see if I still have that
I know I had that
from
last
last
night,
night.
and I wrote it on the thing too, but it's a,
Here. Vision Government Solutions is pleased to propose 2024 full revaluation services
there you
to the town of Lyme. We plan to work alongside the town staff in order to help you complete your project.
so it's a full
Full revaluation.
revaluation.
And at the bottom, underscored, it reads Lyme NH fiscal year 2024 full revaluation program, $99,500.
Thank you.
So we will do some editing and then we will come in and sign.
Right,
If you
and I
can
think-
remember, will you make a note to send a copy of that when it's signed? Scan
Yeah.
it and send it to, Mr. Brown?
And I also think it's important if we know whether it's a full statistical update
Mhm.
or I don't think there's a full statistical revaluation, because there's a difference.
We've been using those words somewhat interchangeably, and I do think at some
Right.
point we really need to
We
It
got
gets
those,
confusing.
just to say, we got those words from Mr. Green's presentation a couple weeks ago. It was on his sheet. So we asked him specifically.
So a full statistical revaluation is what he said?
Yes.
Interesting, okay.
Dina, if you have time, could you reach out to Vision and see if they can clarify
Yeah.
what the various alternatives are in this setting and give us maybe a brief explanation of what each of those is and.
I will, and I know I actually have been looking myself and trying to educate myself on the 601 and 603 rules that pertain to assessment, and it has descriptions in it of exactly these kinds of things, and that's where the confusion, where I corrected what Judy had written, because Vision, not Vision, the state codes talk about a full statistical revaluation, and the description that's in here under the administrative code, which is 603-.03, is exactly what Vision gave us an estimate for. So it's a full statistical revaluation, whereas they didn't call it that, but that's, it's,
Yeah, I just feel like
the language
we're
has to
using
be-
this language imprecisely, and
Yeah.
maybe the folks that proposed the warrant petition are too, because they got it from somebody else, and I just wanna make sure we understand what we're talking about.
Correct,
I
I think
think
it's
that-
great.
Would be helpful for everybody,
That,
because
that sounds good, thank
I
you.
know I had strong feelings, I'm sure you do, or you wouldn't have spent the time that you did, and it would be nice.
We're
if
pretty far down the road to have a confusion about what we're doing.
Well, when they have like 7 things that are called different
This-
things and they're different.
Well, I know, but
magnitudes.
this refers to both parties. I
Right.
mean, it's,
Yeah,
Mhm.
So I'm
Yeah.
looking at the language if you care.
That's not.
thank you, but we don't at this point, we're gonna trot down the road, contact the people we got quotes from. You'll probably do the same, I've asked to have that done, and, we have another meeting on the 23rd, I think it'd be great if we have information at that point and we can continue to have a discussion. But thank you, appreciate that. Okay. Dina, anything else for us?
Well, other than what's on your agenda, you mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I did the agenda.
You have the, solar thing, the energy committee thing, isn't that on the agenda? Oh, yeah, the
Sean
coalition,
is
New
here.
Hampshire Power Coalition, that has to
Are we
be-
doing a non-public session?
Nope,
Okay.
nope.
Okay. We'll entertain Sean at this point.
Perfect, thank you.
Oh, wait a minute, isn't it
Entertain them,
not?
are we gonna dance?
Yes, we're gonna get a little dance.
Oh.
we've been entertaining him for a couple hours.
Why couldn't I see that?
You must have low standards.
That's right, that's right.
Yes, sir.
So I wanted to bring to the board's attention again, that April 1, the bridge is gonna close. And with that, I've talked to Scott, and both of us are extremely concerned about the covered bridge. On River
Taking
Road.
extra traffic.
I think that we should make every effort we can to get some more signage up. Scott actually mentioned that maybe we should put up a temporary physical barrier on both ends of the bridge, prior to the bridge, so that oversized vehicles can't fit.
So you would still allow traffic,
Traffic would still go through, but we would put some sort of bar over the road at a designated height.
Wait, I'm sorry, wait a second, I'm missing a step here.
So they closed the bridge over the Connecticut River
Yes.
to
More
go to
traffic's
Thetford.
gonna run up
So
the
you
river.
think people are gonna drive down there, hit that barrier, go, oh crap, the bridge is out?
No, I'm talking about the River Road covered bridge.
Yeah, you know, I get
So-
that, but I'm trying to understand why the closure of the Thetford Bridge causes more traffic to go through the covered bridge.
Because people are gonna avoid Route 10 in the mornings. Because all of the north and southbound traffic is gonna be heavier.
Oh, so
coming
there's gonna
through
be
the
too
village.
much traffic on, so they're gonna take that crappy unpaved road
People
along the
who-
river
I'm telling you,
to try to
people who
go
wanna go
faster?
to, people who wanna go to Hanover, if, I wish I had the counts, but River Road south of East Thetford Road
Oh, very
is
heavily
amongst
traveled.
the heaviest traveled roads in the town of Lyme by Vermont vehicles. It's amazing, because they don't wanna come through this, they don't wanna be on Route 10 until they get into Hanover, where the traffic flow is
Okay,
much
so
better.
now I think I'm getting it. So what you're concerned about is people coming from north are, instead of taking the 10, they're gonna turn off onto River Road
They're gonna-
and try to take River Road all the way down into Hanover.
Yes, they're gonna cut it
And
off,
therefore, they're gonna go over the covered bridge.
exactly.
And we're okay with that, but,
Passenger vehicles, yes,
but not.
but you know, I
There's a
mean,
weight limit of 3 tons, is
it is 3 tons, yep,
it? And
you know,
So-
I mean,
even a 3/4 ton pickup truck.
you can't even go through.
Yeah, so I was gonna say,
And I don't know how you exclude that, you can exclude a box truck, but.
Well, you can't exclude it, but you can just put extra signage, I think is
Yeah.
what Scott was
Well, the
talking
height
about.
limit is the height limit is the problem.
'cause
I
they're
mean,
gonna
the
rip
north,
up the top.
the north side of the bridge has already been hit. It was hit recently because there's still damage. And we've had other damage inside the bridge and outside the bridge in the past. And the Thetford Bridge just got wrecked again, by a delivery box truck who was determined that he could fit through there.
Is that
So
the one by Union Village?
Yes,
So would you put up like a metal bar on chains, a hundred feet in front or 50 feet in front? So
well, that's
someone
what
would hit the
we
bar
are
and-
thinking. You know, I think that, I'm not sure how we do it, but,
And we can't, we know from past experience elsewhere in town, we can't close it to local traffic only.
correct.
So we either close it, can we close it?
Why can't you close it to local traffic?
Apparently, that's against the law.
Because you have to, it has to be an emergency,
Right,
and that's not gonna be
in order to
considered
close that
an
bridge, there would
emergency.
have to be something wrong with the bridge.
Right,
So,
I mean, what we face is that if somebody crashes into it, we will then close it.
yeah,
I mean, that's, so
I know,
do we,
that's-
do we take steps to prevent that, or do we just let it happen and then deal with the consequences afterwards?
But if the idea, you know, it doesn't matter how many signs you put up and what you tell people
They're
not to do
they're
it,
not paying
it
attention.
doesn't matter. But if you make the effort to at least put some more signage up right on the Orford Lyme town line, or, you know, something, and it doesn't have to be a permanent sign, it can be a sign that just goes up
well,
to
for a year
really
and a
give
half,
extra warnings.
I don't think the sign's doing good, but,
I don't either,
but I think.
but putting up a metal bar on chains that somebody's gonna hit, if they're gonna
Can't
hit
do
the
that.
bridge, that would give people a warning without damaging the bridge.
But Dina's point, I think, was that if we don't put up a sign warning them and something happens, the town could be liable.
Yeah.
We don't wanna be in a position to be liable, so
Right.
we'll put the signs up, and they need to be maybe twice, one at the entrance to the road and two so many feet from the actual bridge. I like the idea of whacking them in the head with a
Right.
post, but
I-
I don't think
We
that that's a
tried
good
to
idea.
do that years ago, and we couldn't because of safety issues and because of this, and there was.
Well, wait, if it's the same height as the top of the bridge, and you're gonna smash into the top of the bridge,
Well, it's not the same height, it's lower than the same height, but still. I can't remember, I would have to go back and look up the information and actually where it came from, whether it came from legal or whether it came from DOT, I
Like,
don't
I know they
remember.
have those on the roads, and
I'm
if
just
you drive,
telling
if you
you.
go to drive on it through some of those tunnels in Boston, they have those things.
Mhm.
So that
That's
somebody doesn't
Massachusetts.
plant their truck into the
It's
top of
probably
the tunnel.
different
and-
here. But I will
Stay there
look it
forever.
up, we can think about it, you guys can think about it, and I'll look
I
up
think we should
past
certainly
info.
do something with signage, we should get that signage done. I would have never in a million years thought that that would be a shortcut
I know, it's
and
such a bad
faster
road.
than staying on Route 10, but,
Can we make it one way?
well, I'm always in favor of one way.
You can, but I don't think that would work so good. The whole, that means that whole section of River Road,
It's gonna go
It's gonna go one
northbound
way.
only.
until you get to, where, nowhere,
Well, we could take,
Breck
we
Hill.
could make them both one way, opposite one ways, meeting at the Thetford Bridge.
I mean, our other,
You could put a stoplight.
so not only the bridge, but the section between, North Thetford Road and the Gartner's house is also, I think we should add some more signs there.
We
That's
just
got a
need to have
one-way
Scott do
bridge,
that.
or one-lane bridge, right? Yeah, if you can get together with Scott, you guys know the roads, you know there's gonna be extra traffic, I think that we need to be a little proactive.
Yep.
And, I'm really not looking forward to that. This makes the petition article look easy peasy. I'm just, I think it's gonna be bad.
Yeah, I talked with DOT, the foreman, a couple weeks ago, and, actually, I had an email from someone who's concerned about the parking. How's the parking gonna look down there? Well, I mean, bottom line is that DOT owns East Thetford Road. I foresee them taking pretty much all of the road
One lane.
that they can.
Mhm.
They're going to have daily deliveries that are gonna come over East Thetford Road. I mean, generally, I think if people can stay off East Thetford Road, that's gonna be your best bet.
So we
Because
should-
you're going from the village to nowhere.
At town meeting, we'll need to, I think, have a little statement, maybe it'll be in the town report, or as an additional sheet, or have you say, or we can say something, just reminding people of that bridge closure and requesting that they maybe consider alternative routes. I mean, we know people live there, but
Right.
it is gonna be very congested, and it's going to be
They're already delivering.
challenging.
Exactly.
Well, they
You know,
are,
There's
they've
gonna
been
be
working there since
delays
last summer.
all the time.
Parking areas are gone.
One of the.
We'll have to park somewhere else to walk.
One of the other issues is that, there will be zero tolerance for rubberneckers and people who wanna go walk the site, after hours. Those, the bridge is gonna have no deck on it, there's going to be a temporary, barge built from our side out to the center piling, because they're gonna have to do a bunch of work on that, so they're gonna build basically a float, and it'll be, anchored out there, and they'll be doing all their work on the piling out
They gotta
there.
pump that dry.
What's that?
They gotta pump that piling dry, don't they?
Yeah, they gotta
Offer
do all
the
kinds of
amount.
stuff to it.
Yeah.
And so it's just gonna be a very, very hazardous place for people to be wandering around in.
I
Um,
went down to Grantham, I guess it was, for the initial planning meeting when they got together with all the subcontractors and everyone. And I don't recall that they said anything about controlling the waterway, but it would seem like with working especially on that middle pylon, they're going to need to do something to protect it from kayakers and canoers and motorboaters over the summer. And did they say anything about that to
They,
you?
that's a good question, he did not mention anything about that. I would suspect that they will have all kinds of safety buoys out there. Yeah, that's a good question, I'll have to go down and talk to Jeff about that, because that's interesting.
Yeah, 'cause that's pretty heavily traveled, I think.
Yeah,
By
you know,
watercraft.
yeah, and they certainly are not gonna want people in the construction zone while they're taking the decking off,
Okay.
because, yeah,
Now you've made my day.
well, thank you.
Well, you know what, the good thing is that most of these aren't our problems.
Oh, thank you.
You know, all of that stuff, we don't have to worry about
Yes.
how to control access to the
That's right.
construction side or the river or any of that. We do have to worry about the traffic on River Road and,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, and if we can, I really wish people, I hope people will consider not coming down the East Thetford Road to go south on the River Road, because they're gonna get hung up, and they'll just
They very likely could.
be angry, and coming through the covered bridge just to stay off that little section of Route 10, just,
Yep. Wanna
It's a
make
good time
covered
for
bridge a toll
traffic
bridge?
counters.
Make
What?
the covered bridge a toll bridge?
yeah, that's a great idea.
Take some money off
You
it.
could have somebody there to monitor it,
Mhm.
raise enough money to
Costs a nickel,
pay him.
you know.
Yeah,
But I think it's
You
a good
could
time to
do-
put a counter out, traffic counter that are
Mm.
coming soon, or new ones.
Yeah,
yeah.
and one there, and maybe one just on the southbound River Road, I don't know.
Right, just
Good
to see
idea, let's
what the heck.
try and think about what we wanna do and make some real decisions, other than signage, you've gotta go ahead on that signage.
Good.
Finally, I think, I don't know why I didn't see this, and I apologize again, I have to stop that.
Never
Discuss,
apologize.
discuss Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire information.
So I'm not sure that you're ready to actually discuss it.
No, we need a
Um,
presentation
but-
from somebody.
Well, what I'd like, my question is, I sent you an email,
Yes.
which was in that packet of
Oh,
stuff that you can go back and read. And, I need to know if at some point or the next meeting, it's pretty clear that he would like to have a discussion with you guys about what this really means.
The he being the town council.
Oh, sorry, this is Joe
From
Driscoll.
Mitchell
He is
Municipal.
our, right, he's the specialty guy to work with
I
this
did read
stuff.
that.
Okay,
Yes, I would like that. Would you
Me
like
too.
that?
okay.
I was
so-
like talking to lawyers.
Oh, jeez, okay. So do you wanna wait till your next meeting, or do you wanna try to do this before?
I think we should wait till our next meeting.
Okay, next meeting. So I will set up like a chat
A
for him,
chat,
a Zoom
yeah.
or whatever.
And that will be 10:23. Yes, because I read that a couple of times, and it's concerning, and it's quite a bit of
Well, his-
legal
Yeah,
information.
his comment to me when I said, oh yeah, they just need to know if it's okay to sign this. He goes, well, and I said, and it doesn't really mean anything, we can just get out of it whenever, and he went, oh, that is absolutely not correct, so I need to write you something. I said,
So,
"Good."
yeah, I mean, that's very
Yeah.
detailed.
Cause that's sort of
Yeah, it
the
is.
message we were getting
Right.
from
Yeah,
the little group we put together.
Right, right.
so it may be a really good thing, and that maybe we can't do it or we
Mhm.
shouldn't do it, so we
Well,
really need to.
Sounds like Joe has dealt with many other towns that are doing it, and
Well,
some that have decided not to. So, you know,
Okay.
he's the guy.
So we'll plan on maybe 10:30.
Okay,
I
I'll
would
see
think
what
we'll
he's
be
got available.
busy. Look at what we've got incoming
Is
Is
for that
that
meeting.
non-public, cause it's legal?
I don't know, I'll have to ask
See
him,
if it's
because I don't
informational, I
know what,
would like, I mean,
the
typically
discussion is.
legal is non-public, but I think it's more informational. I would love for people to be able to hear what is
Yeah,
being
me
said.
too, even if it is,
Absolutely. and it is about signing a contract, but yet the contract would be a public document, and there's no, it's not like there's any,
Yeah,
you
it's
know.
not like a settlement with someone.
Right, exactly, so we'll see, I
Okay,
would hope so.
Okay,
all right, that would be great, with Joe at Mitchell Municipal.
And then I can let
that,
that committee know.
that
James
write-up
can
that
let them
Dina sent me reminded me of my 14-year-old daughter taught me a new thing the other day. You seen this? TLDR?
No,
Like people respond TLDR, too long, didn't read.
I like that, wow.
oh, I'm taking that home.
I think they put a semicolon after TL,
Exactly.
TL semicolon DR.
Jeez.
I get so confused with all those abbreviations, but this one I've gotta remember.
Uh-huh.
It's
That's what having a 14-year-old
That's
daughter
sort
is
of
good
like
for.
when you ask someone
That's
to
fun, isn't it?
tell you, you know, which switch do I flip? And then half an hour later, you still haven't got that information, you're still learning about switches. Can you imagine that happens in my house?
And I have one more thing.
Okay.
I'm so sorry, and I was thinking it was associated with this, and it kind of is, but it's the solar, the energy committee.
Oh,
And they've switched from the fire station to the library, happily. So your attorney's advice was that the Board of Selectmen is ultimately responsible,
because it's a
Because it's a town
large
building.
yep.
correct? But that you should work together. So Judy Russell and I had a nice long discussion. She went to the trustees Monday night, they went over this. They're happy to have the board obviously do what they need to do for the town building part, but that we will all work together. And through the MOU that we have between the board and the library, Judy Russell and I will, work together to,
So we're
Cover
going
all
to
the bases.
cooperate.
we are going to do that. Is that exciting?
That's
And as
great.
long as all three of you are okay with that kind of a thing, you guys will sign the contracts, you guys will accept the RFPs.
Do we have consensus on this? I'm seeing nods. Okay,
sure.
okay.
You
I
wanna
don't
move
think,
it?
I don't think we need to vote on that.
Sense of the board is good.
Excellent.
Good, great, that's it then, so I'm gonna tell the energy committee we've had legal look at it, we have
Go
everything
for it,
all set,
yes.
and we'll send the RFP
Well,
out.
and kudos to them to
Yeah.
keep trying, because this is maybe the third place that they thought they might be able to do it.
I know, and I think it will be very helpful to the library too,
Excellent.
as it has been for the fire station, for this building.
Yeah. Bite your tongue with fire station.
Yeah.
Oh
No,
my God.
Okay. Ben, you're up.
Oh, that's quick.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
10:44.
Ben,
Thank
aye.
you. David, I.
David,
Judy, I. We are adjourned.